You're living in a construct. You're living in a system. It's a school. It's a big ass school. You have to look at technology differently. The technology that is around you is so advanced. The way your body works is technology. I talked about this already, but growing your food using copper in the sun, that's technology. And the way that your life is orchestrated in your trajectory and the life lessons and your mission and your purpose and all the little lessons and tests that you got going on in your day to day is a technology. Not every person walking around here is carrying a controller in this game. There are NPCs around us. And man, I can't wait. I'm going to put all of these together because I talked about respecting the NPCs. And I have a whole thing on that. But we're in a system. And if you have the controller in your hand, you have pros and cons to having that controller in your hand. One of the advantages of having a controller in your hand is the fact that you have what they call free will to some degree. And as you ride down your trajectory of your life path, you're going to be tested. And when the universe tests you, you have a choice to make. And you have to decide on what it is that you're going to do. And that will determine if you pass your test or you fail your test. And that brings back in what I talk about, the instruction manual that we are all built with inside of us. Anybody who's walking around here with a controller in your hand, you have the rule book, you have instruction manuals built inside of you that you have access to channel information on what to do, how to do it, tips, tricks, whatever. And you have your spirit team next to you, riding with you, walking you through your lessons of your life. You can talk to them. This is for the people with a controller in their hand. And you know if you have a controller in your hand. Talk to your spirit team. You have to change the way that you view the world that we live in. You have to change the way you view it. You have lessons to learn here. Now, one of the cons of having a controller in your hand is you can collect karma for yourself if you do something wrong, incorrect. You can collect karma for yourself. And when you come here, it's like, why the fuck am I here? Why the fuck am I in this prison called Earth? And the real reason at the end of the day is you're here to evolve. For whatever reason, you have karma. For whatever reason, you're here to evolve. You're here to learn these karmic lessons. And that goes back into what I always talk about with the miseducation and manifestation, and why that is a big problem. It's because you are here to live a life and to follow your trajectory and live the life that you're supposed to live. And if you're going into the architectural layer and manipulating your life path, you're going to pay the price for that. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to live your life the way that you're supposed to live your life. You're supposed to work with your spirit team and tap into your instruction manuals and play your part. Do what you're supposed to do here. Learn what you need to learn in this lifetime, and try not to collect any additional karma for yourself, because the more karma you collect for yourself, the more lifetimes you're going to have to keep coming back here to fulfill your karmic lessons. You just adding more time to your sentence. And people who suicide their way out of here, you just made your life path worse for you the next time you come back. So don't give up. Don't give up. Just ride it out. It's crazy as fuck. It's crazy as fuck. It's crazy as fuck sometimes. Trust me, I know. But I refuse to go into the architectural layer. And I said this before, and I say it again, with great responsibility. You know, I forgot how I go. Comes trust. You got to be trustworthy. You got to be authentic. Like, I don't touch the architectural layer. I don't touch any of the things that I have access to. Just because I have access to do things doesn't mean that I'm going to touch it. Doesn't mean that I'm going to tamper with it. Doesn't mean I'm going to use it, quote unquote, to my advantage in this lifetime. It's almost like we little tricks and dummies and shit, because it's like, you know, you don't die. You don't die. You come back if you have to. And if you don't have to come back, you ascend, you graduate. You don't have to come back here. There's so much more to it, but it's like again, I talk about it, but it's like layer on top of layer on top of layer on top of layer, and they're intertwining with each other. And it's like, if I was to ever try to explain one thing, it won't make sense, because one thing is going to contradict the next thing. I like to talk to people based on like questions that they might have, or whatever, wherever they at, you know, and then I can expound upon whatever I need to expound upon in those conversations. And even when I'm talking to people, I'm channeling. So I can be, you know, having a regular conversation with somebody. Somebody can ask me a question and I would get the answer. Sometimes like it take like a few minutes for the answer to come to me, but the answer will come to me like in that conversation. You can literally channel that shit in real time. And so somebody would say, oh, well, this is, you know, fugazi bullshit. You know, this ain't real. And the truth of the matter is, you're not going to understand until it happens to you, until you get to that point where you're able to evolve to the point where you can channel. When you connected with your spirit team, when you talking to them and they guiding you through your life. And then you even look back on your life and be like, man, I remember when I used to talk to my spirit team, they used to tell me about this, that, and the fourth. I mean, I'm telling you, I can give stories going all the way back to when I was in elementary school. I'm talking like 6th grade. I'm sitting, my spirit team with me in my bedroom at my parents' house, going through every little thing that, you know, hurt me, that I was emotional about. What lesson did you learn from that? And I'll talk to them and say what lesson I learned. And we went through everything. And so by the time I went to the next grade, I went to middle school, I had a different mindset. I had a different perspective. I was evolved. I learned lessons. And that stuff still happens. You know? It's so much more to it. You know, I can give you random stories for days. It's just so much more to it. There's some people that I get around, or some energies, like some timelines of others who touch my timeline, and when they touch in my timeline and they're around, like I get messages directly from spirit. Hey, so and so tried to call you. I'm like, who said that? I remember this was back in the day when I wasn't really like trying to accept what was going on. I was still, kind of caught in the matrix in between. And I was just like, who said that? You know? And then I go check my messages, and sure enough, somebody did send me a message. And I was like, what the fuck? They'll tell me who it was too. They won't just say somebody sent you a message. They'll tell me so-and-so, so-and-so sent you a message. And I'd be like, what the fuck? Who said that? I look like, who the fuck said that? You know? So when you start talking about like the spirit realm, and you start talking about what happens when people die and stuff like that, that's a whole nother conversation. But to kind of give an overview of it, so people, they need to be carried to the other side. And so some of us here, we do that kind of work where we carry people to the other side. And I even talked to some of my, people and relatives and stuff that I didn't even know they were on this stuff. But, we'll be at, funerals, and they'll talk about how they connected with the person that passed. Like, after they passed, they connected with them, and oh yeah, man, he came to me yesterday, or he came to me this morning, or or I got signs like right before he passed, like he was already kind of like in between worlds. And then like they'll hang out in between worlds, and then eventually they'll hang out here on earth, and then eventually like they'll say their goodbyes, or they'll do whatever, and then eventually they go on. And some people get trapped here, but when they do move on, they move on, like they go somewhere else, but then they still come back and visit. So it's interesting because they don't stay gone, like they come back and visit. And I had somebody from my lineage, that passed on, that came back to me this year. They were hanging out with me for like about a week, and I'm like, am I tripping? And so I called one of my relatives. Ancestor that was visiting me was like close to this relative. So I called this relative of mine and told them like, what was going on. And they was like, wow, that's crazy that you're saying this to me, because, I've been staring at a picture that you all took at his funeral, and I look at it every day. And it's funny that you bring up this particular relative that passed. It's so funny you bring it up. And so my ancestor, he was telling me, he was passing a message on to me, and I think he wanted to talk to his daughter. So I told my relative, I passed the message on. And so what ended up happening is I ain't hear from him no more after that day, because I feel like I passed him on to the relative that he was trying to reach. The relative that I called, it was a biggest skeptic in the motherfucking world. Biggest skeptic in the motherfucking world. But when I told him the story, he was just like, what the fuck? And so I was able to pass on my ancestor to this relative so that my relative can talk to his daughter, because he wanted to talk to his daughter. And he passed like over 20 years ago. So he wasn't hanging, I don't feel like he was hanging out here that long. I feel like he probably just came back, because he came out of nowhere. And so I get visits from relatives all the time, that passed on, and they just come in, they check in, and, they say what's up, stuff like that. But I feel like they don't really hang out here, because like I said, you pass them on to the other side, and it's like this big old ceremony. You pass them on to the other side and stuff like that. And so sometimes, like, not everybody passing them on, like it worked different. Like different people do different things, and I don't mean like in a bad way, but you living in ignorance, but inside of you a deity, or you like a really strong, powerful being. You got jobs to do. And so sometimes like you doing other work, even though your physical body's doing something mundane, and your earth mind is just really slow. someone will say your higher self is intelligent, and it's working, it's doing shit in the spirit realm. And so sometimes even like you could be like in your mundane day to day, and out of nowhere you get tired as fuck. That could be because you're doing something in the spirit realm, or you need to go to sleep because your body need to go do something. So you have to like pay attention to stuff like that. And sometimes it could be a mundane reason, sometimes it's not. It's hard to tell. So that's what I'm saying. You gotta be in tune when it comes to shit like that. But at the end of the day, those people that pass on and they go to another realm. They call it the spirit realm. And so the spirit realm is like another world. It's like Earth, but it's different. And some stuff look the same as Earth, but different. The sky is a different color. Like somebody could say, oh, they on a different planet. Like whatever you want to say, it's a different realm. But it look like Earth, but it's everybody there. It's the people that passed on. So I was talking about that in my song Lands, where I said there's a world where nobody dies, but they not here in the physical on this side, but they in this other spot. And you can go over there and visit them, and they'll talk to you, and they have messages for you and stuff like that. And so a lot of time when I channel songs, because I hear songs in my head all the time, but I don't hear beats out here that match the songs that's in my head. So I'll record the songs that I hear, but a lot of times I hear the songs from these other worlds, and sometimes it'd be from the spirit realm, sometimes it'd be from other places. But like when I made Lands came from literally the spirit realm. I was hanging out with people. I was there because they saw me, but I was like an observer kind of, and they were just, it was a TV. They had like a TV there, like one of the old fashioned TVs. And they was just looking at like what's going on Earth. For whatever reason, Earth is so important. Like what we doing here is so important. And I said that in my Miseducation and Manifestation video, where I talked about like there's a lot more eyes on you than you think. And that's what I meant by that, because there's a lot of people watching you. There's a lot of people watching what's going on here. For whatever reason, it's important what's happening here. Like I heard your plight, your journey, how you get through your plight, how you get through your journey. It's so important. And so again, not every, I don't know, because like I heard stories. I might be channeling this, I'm gonna channel that, but I heard stories about the spirit and the soul being separate. And I want to also say that the spirit realm is also a space that you don't want to get stuck in. So people, they'll discover the spirit realm and they'll hang out in the spirit realm every night. They'll astral travel, they'll do stuff like that, and they get kind of stuck at that level. You have to evolve, continue evolving past that to kind of, you'll say, okay, I understand that. What else is going on? What else is there to learn? And just, kind of evolve yourself past